Here we are streaming live on September 5th. And we're talking about Mossad control. Is Alex Jones and his whole team controlled by the Mossad? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about treason. Is that what the tweet? What's the tweet from Mr. Trump, President Trump, actually talking about there with treason? Only one person's joined here, so you're probably listening to the recording. Therefore, if you ever want to listen to me live, you're going to have to actually make sure the little bell is highlighted and says all notifications. Again, I'm getting a few hundred people per day or more on this channel, so I need to make sure I mention this. And in my channel, YouTube's going and turning that off or to occasional. So you have to check that bell periodically or you'll never get the notifications. Also, obviously, your device has to be set on YouTube where the notifications on YouTube are coming to the front screen. All right, let's get into this. We're talking about Mossad control, treason, Cueanon posts, new Cueanon posts, and all kinds of people from New Zealand and Cali and Missouri and Minnesota and Miami. Thank you, Don and Christ Believer and Kay and Diana. Thank for y'all guys. God is great, says Douglas. All right, here we go. We're talking about, is Alex Jones and his whole team under Mossad control? What's Q say about it? What about this whole FISA abuse and the 20 pages coming out? Is that going to show treason? That's the big question. Did President Trump tweet that? We're going to dig into all that stuff right now. Here's Cueanon for September 5th. Let's get into it. So we look at the first series of deals. This lets you know I tweeted out as well as Facebooked, as well as sent you guys a little question mark that actually has 3 other sites besides Cueanon.pub. So Cueanon.pub or Cueanon.app is what I use. But there's 3 other sites that I actually sent you guys because it was down for quite a bit of time there. So I'm right now, I think I'm using this QNTMPKTS and .keybase.pub, so a more complex one. But again, it was the one that had the most up-to-date information and seemed to be not fazed by this downtime that we experienced with the 404 error, those of you who are trying to look at Q. So yesterday on 2085, we talked about that meme where the Hillary Clinton cartoon, or I guess the video, was on the 17-yard line and got tackled by Trump. So 17 is obviously the letter Q, 17th letter of the alphabet. So that's why Q said, what are the odds of that? They never thought she would lose. So that was a great note to end on yesterday. And then we go into September 5th, and the first one he gives us is a meaty one talking about this whole document. You can go look on Uranium One. So you can go look at this Uranium One document. I think it was dated back a while ago. I'll take a quick look at it here. But here's the portion or the paragraph he really wants us to concentrate on. So you'll see this is the detailed link of this. You can get the disclaimer and closure. And you'll see this FBI records, the vault. And there's a bunch of details in here. And you can go grab the specific one. I'm going to skip this for now. I'm going to move back in to get all my stuff lined up here. You can see I got page after page of stuff to go over with you guys. But here's a paragraph. As the Russians gradually assume control of Uranium One in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013, Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well. I think the key point here is that our Committee on Financial Services obviously should have been over that, our oversight committee, and who was part of that. Just like here it says Killbox, it says letter from Committee on Financial Services. And this is Maxine Waters was the California ranking member of that house. And he goes into another link here where you can dig into this in more detail. But it says, how do you obstruct oversight? The way you obstruct oversight is by being a ranking member, as is shown. So this is the Financial Services Committee, Maxine Waters being the California ranking member, and Q's basically saying Those who are the loudest have the most to hide. So what's Maxine Waters got to hide? Well, it's something to do with this whole uranium one. He's linked into that. How do you obstruct oversight? How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Maxine Waters, California ranking member. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear, all capital letters. Hide in kill brackets, meaning it's not going to be hidden much longer. That's what's so cool about this. And then there's a video here from Fox and Money Talks, and this is actually a Tucker Carlson video. You can go look at that at a later time. And it basically talks about her $4.5 million house. How did she afford a $4.5 million house? She lives in an area that's like only 6% black, I think it is. Just not. She doesn't even live in the district that she's representing, which is like 85% African American or black, right? So how do you on a $170,000 salary buy a $4.2 million mansion? This doesn't happen unless you got some money coming in on the side through the foundation laundering, whatever. But money talks. That's what he's saying right here. Cute. So that's the first one, saying something's going to be coming out on Maxine here pretty soon. So that's why she's being so loud. Impeach, impeach, impeach. She's been saying every single sentence, right? It seems like that comes out of her mouth. Now we go to this next one. It's got a couple of big, long showing. Remember, we drained this yesterday a little bit, where back yesterday when she talked about example one, right? And that was on September 4th. And then he's going to amplify on this. But let's read this, because this, as a reminder, it says example one was being afraid. Basically, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, being afraid. Does HRC care about you? If she cared about protecting you, would she sell out America's secrets and uranium to China, Russia? Example one. They always thought if charges were brought versus them, they would ultimately be safe because they had Supreme Court control. Now with Anthony Scalia out, HRC appointments, end of all ends, final. Did Anthony Kennedy have a choice? What was this, the original plan according to HRC election win? What evidence was he shown? So obviously there was evidence that they were making him be the swing voter. They called him the swing voter. So all of a sudden you have this conservative judge all of a sudden actually voting with the liberals. Right, and that just was not. It was very unusual, and there was no. So what it was is whenever they told him to, so he was controlled, and so RGB replacement. It says lifetime appointment age. What's at stake? So what's at stake is basically them being called out and put in prison. So you'll see all these. If you're on saw my show yesterday, you would see that all the Hillary Clinton stuff. All these tweets were all about Kavanaugh. Said we can't have Kavanaugh. He's the worst person ever in the world, even though he's pretty much a middle of the road conservative, right? And he's completely by the law, and he's actually had a lot of decisions against conservatives, and he listed them all today in the hearings, right? And then this said pain comes in many different forms. Part of it, they're going to lose the Supreme Court, right? Full control. They're not in full control in general. They're full control of the Supreme Court after this nominee gets approved, Kavanaugh. Enjoy the show, Q. Then he amplifies on that, and this is today's tweet. It basically says, example 2, being afraid. And these are all more tweets about Hillary. It says witch hunt Q about Hillary and Kavanaugh. So she's panicking, or at least they're using her Twitter account as a deep state tool to communicate the panic. If Brett Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, we will help gut or overrun Roe versus Wade, which legal abortion in America. Yes, of course he will. So, bottom line here is that if you just look at all of these, you can go look at them yourself, but they're all about pretty much a woman's right to choose. The baby doesn't have a choice, right? No, you just have a right to kill your embryo, right? At any stage, pretty much is what they want. And so this is, and they obviously call it anti-abortion. You'll see all of these versus pro-life. Right? They're anti-life is what they are. And so, sorry, that's my opinion. I know there's some people that may not agree with me on that, but that's just the terminology. The left is extremely good at using the terminology of and trying to use that to their advantage. Like you are you're pro-choice or anti-abortion, right? When it really is just the opposite. You are pro-life versus anti-life. That's the way I look at it. That's the way the Bible looks at it. That's the way God looks at it. In fact, Mark Taylor even talks about the abortion being the feeding of Baal, the god. So that is a basically demonic fake god that they're feeding, Satan, basically, is what that comes back down to. Now, if we look at 2087, that was 2087. Now we go to 2088, and this is interesting. This and I always mess up this guy's last name for prosaic or something like, but he has become, he was Rebel Media. He was doing some really cool work, and he's just totally shown himself out to be a complete shill. And and it's just crazy to see how he's so anti-Q. And he came up with this big video of debunking Q, and it was funny. Destroying Illusion watched it. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I just watched some of Destroying Illusion, just saying there was no factual pieces in it at all, right? And now all of us have been watching. It's like I was telling you about the dollar bill or $100 bill. If you want to become an expert at finding any fraud on it, you become an expert on that bill itself, and then you see any counterfeit of any type of sort will just stand out to you. And that's the way we are. We're, people like Destroying Illusion and me and you, and people have really studied Q from the beginning, from post number 1. Understand Q very well. And so when we see somebody talking about it, we know when they're lying. And sorry, Jack, you're lying. So this was and then an anon put this. What? Wait, you're telling me Q just posted again? But Micro told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used, so AF'd, wipes tears. And so they're just making fun of him because he's talking about this new Micro person who I hadn't even heard of, and Destroying Illusion just barely had heard of him, and he's claiming this guy is the LARP and Q. So he's completely lying for one reason. There's so much disinformation in here. There's no way that he cannot be not knowingly trying to deceive. We know that now. It's not like you can be just fooled and trying to. So why is the big question, right? And so is he got they framing him, got bribery on him, or is it just being paid money on it? And this comes back to the Lenin quote I showed you guys many times, is that when he says the best way to control opposition is to lead it yourself. The way you lead it is you pay people money to tell them what you want them to do. Now here is what he said. Q says to this: ask yourself a simple logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro-MAGA supporters coming from AJ? I'm talking about Alex Jones. And it says in Kill Brackets there, MOS capital backed. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any other interpretations that make sense to me other than that being Mossad. Okay. And we know, just like the CIA, there's good people in the CIA, there's good people in Mossad. Some people will argue with me that, but that's just a fact. Sorry. But there's tons of corrupt parts of that controls a lot of things. Just like there's a corrupt part of the CIA, there's a corrupt part of the Mossad. And why are we a threat to them, Q asks. Why not simply publish an original picture plus minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? It's kind of a funny question because they already did that. And he's going to show us that in here in a second. Why was this done in the past? Well, it's because they knew these attacks were coming, right? We knew this type of attack was coming. Predictable, fake news attacks will only intensify. So Q's already proved himself by doing just that. Original pictures. And then months later, he sent another picture 2 or 3 seconds later, showing that he was the same Q he was back then, he is now, right? And so that's the type of proof we're getting from Q, and it's making people like Jack and AJ just look completely idiotic is what they're looking like. And so it's just really a sad day. It just shows you how powerful this deep state is, that they can actually control the mainstream media, all these different distributed outlets, and then they can also control alternative media. That is just amazing, right? So now here's the example of Q proving himself that we've already seen in the past, way back on May 22nd. This is 2089 here on September 5th, but he's reposting on May 22nd, and they even named these Air Force 1 5A2, right? And right here you saw way back on 11.9 was Air Force One 5A2, right? And so these are a few seconds apart. And then here's 3, right? So we have all these different pictures that are at different times. One that was posted in November, one that was posted here, and 2 of them that were posted in May, showing that, hey, I have the original, and look at, here's another one. So it looks like these 2 pictures might be the exact same one that he's just shown. Hey, look at, I can post the same original picture, and I could also show you one that was 2 or 3 seconds later that is from the same stream of photos, right? And then Q basically says, what? Regarding why not post an original picture plus or minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility. I think Jack may have asked this in his hit piece, right? We have MAGA, Trump supporting independent media attacking Cueanon, right? That and saying silly things like this. Example 1, Air Force One 5A2 posted 11.9. Here's an Air Force One 5A3 posted 5:22. 2-second stream, prepared, predictable. This is not a game. These people are stupid. So people are just making themselves look stupid by doing anti-QAnon stuff and saying things like, why not post an original picture plus or minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility when he's already done it. So these people haven't even studied Q. That's what I'm talking about. We know the original so well. It's easy to see the frauds. And I'm sorry, but David Seaman, you're a fraud when it comes to QAnon. And I'm sorry, Isaac Green, you're a fraud when it comes to QAnon. Alex Jones, you're a fraud. Jack Prozabec, you're a fraud as well. So it's scary that these guys have taken money and sold their souls to Mossad or scary that they're somehow being framed and threatened. Who knows? You tell me what you think down below. But here we go in 2090, another article, and this is the Jerome Corsi subpoena Mueller investigation. So we'll see that here in a second, but it just basically that's kind of just like an FYI. I'm not sure why Q would post that, because it had to do with Roger Stone and seeing what he knew about Roger Stone. And so now we know that Jerome Corsi, you're a fraud. But when it comes to Q, you're lying. I've seen Jerome Corsi and Alex Jones and Jack Posobiec lie to my face, right, in their videos, completely lying to me, right? And so you guys make your own choice. I'm not trying to tell you what to think, but I'm telling you what I think. And it's this really sad day when the independent media is turned against truth, sold themselves out for some reason, right? So here's so the Jerome Corsi thing, he's being subpoenaed to come in by Mueller. I'm not sure exactly why they'd be doing that, but and that would be really interesting to see if that's all linked into this plan or not. 2092, he's got, do you believe in coincidences? And this is Trump classified documents, Russia. And then here you've got Sarah A. Carter basically saying President Trump may declassify the 20 FISA docs in Congress. And so, and you probably saw Trump's latest tweet that said treason ? So this is really getting fun. And then it says, do you believe in coincidences? Q. So that's 2092. I'll show you a couple of these articles real quick, but the political.co here was the first one, which really dug into Trump allies push him to declassify more Russia probes. So they've really done this well by creating demand from the public, creating demand from Congress to declassify it, so it doesn't look like Trump is this out of control POTUS that is just actually just declassifying all kinds of things, right? He's declassifying it based on, I think, the timing of the leaks, just like the WikiLeaks were leaked over time during the 2016 election. Now they're being leaked at specific times on purpose. Interesting that this is right during the Kavanaugh hearing. So and you have all these Democrats that are sitting there, lying on their question, trying to deceive people, saying that they didn't get the documents they should have when they had more documents than the last 5 or 3 nominees, right? So it's just really the criminals up at the top. Again, this isn't a right versus left thing, because there's many Democrats coming into this movement right now. Many people that are listening to me now are former Democrats. I was a former Democrat now years ago, but the leadership in the Democratic Party in the Senate is completely controlled. You can tell they all are being told to try to keep Kavanaugh out. Because why? And this is the most amazing finding I can tell you about what I've just come to the realization of. If you're looking at the timing of this, and Q tells us to look at this coincidences. So you have basically John McCain being executed, right before the Day of the Dogs, right? And it's literally the weekend before the Kavanaugh hearing starts. And he says, coincidence? So it wasn't. This was all time. So we would get a person in there to make sure we had the 51st vote to be able to get Kavanaugh confirmed. We can actually lose one Republican and still get him confirmed, right? That'd be 50 votes, and then you'd have the vice president vote to the final vote to get him over the hump. So you have basically a new Supreme Court justice that will what? Why is that so important? Why would this whole time out? So the military tribunals can be confirmed. And you're going to see that here in a second. Just amazing to me. So this is the Trump allies push him. That, again, I think that was a complete way to set up to allow this all to happen, to allow the military tribunals to happen. And then obviously Trump did classify the 20. It didn't happen today, so will it happen tomorrow? There's a lot of people saying, no, it's not going to happen until after the Kavanaugh hearings. I don't know. I'm really hoping it happens this week. Here's 2093, and this is amazing YouTube. You've got to listen to this if you haven't taken the time. I'll probably play just a couple of quick minutes to because it's so important at 26 minutes. I think I have it open actually, so I'm going to get to that in a second. But interesting line of questions. Normal military law versus criminal law. That was a question by Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham's amazing. He's the biggest deep state follower of McCain, a criminal, it seemed like. And now all of a sudden all the strings are cut and McCain's out of the picture. And Lindsey Graham's acting like a patriot. It's crazy. On everything I've seen, he's acting like a patriot. So this is an amazing time to see it all happen. And and here you have Lindsey Graham being used to ask about military law versus criminal law. Think the executive order, right? There's several executive orders. There's one on the 21st and one in March that open this up and expand it. Think HRC panic. She's panicked about Kavanaugh. Everything you see, all those 20, 30 tweets all about trying to keep Kavanaugh out. Do you believe in coincidences? You have more than you know. Q. And so this is all about talking, literally, he talks about, Lindsey Graham talks about military tribunals and several of the people being executed that are American citizens because they were working with the enemy. Okay? So you can be treasonous and be held in military tribunals and executed. The death penalty, that's part of the potential punishments for treason. I'll show that for you in a second. I know I have it opened up, so we'll go over that in a second once I get through the rest of these. And this is awesome. Here's something that a Twitter, and it has Q+ here. To me, this just confirms more than ever that this is Trump. Why else would you have a tweet from Trump that actually says Q+? And this is what I'm telling you about. Treason, that's all said. 5:15 tonight. He says, treason? ? Whoa. And so I think that means is I would guess most likely this is going to be about the 20 pages that he's going to be released from the FISA, that everybody that Congress has asked him to, at least the Republican parts of the Congress have asked him to unredact from what we call the Rosenstein FISA, because there's 4 of them, right? And the last one, number 4. He actually signed. So that's going to be real key to show the treason and how it's all worked. So now that's 2094. Talking about that. Now we go to 2095. And this, I think, is where we ended. I'll refresh here in a second. This is the last one. But got all kinds of news, so don't go anywhere. That's all related to this and amplifies on it more. So this basically shows a American flag with and back on 2/21, he posted this. What's a patriot? And it says, number 1, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interest with devotion. Number 2, a person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of the individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. And then it says, what's a traitor? Well, number one is a person who betrays another, a cause or any trust. Number two, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. Q. So you're going to see who falls where. You have a patriot in Trump and all these military military intelligence and the whole the military itself, as well as the NSA, that are trying to take down the deep state. And then you have all these deep state operatives that are in it for themselves, and they're selling out their country, and they're literally giving our special access programs to China, to North Korea, to Russia, our uranium one to Russia. It's just really crazy how these guys have sold out this country. And if you look at this, it goes, fellow patriots. An amazing statement from this from Q. It says, fellow patriots, what you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control. In freedom, it says in brackets. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt pure evil, in brackets, abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5. So that kind of confirms that the D5 he's talking about here is the avalanche, because they talk about different types. The worst avalanche is the D5, and the snowball has begun rolling. That seems like the first time I've seen the D5 associated directly with that, confirming that at least one of the meanings is the avalanche, right? Stay the course and trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave, all capitals. We knew this day would come. And this is that famous, almost 6-minute video that why Trump was going to get elected. Beautiful video, always worth rewatching. United we stand worldwide. WWG 1GA, where we go one, we go all, we fight. Conspiracy no more. And this is wild. Conspiracy no more. Why? Because the world now knows there was massive treason and FISA abuse. That's what's going to happen when these 20 pages get released. And so that's let me refresh her real quick to see if Q posted. I always like to look at my Q app real quick because it gives me a big drop there to show if anything else has happened. It doesn't look like he has posted again. So yeah, so that's the last one. So hey, tons of information. So let's go over this. Fascinating as you dig through all the stuff I saw that I wanted to share with you guys tonight. It's like, to me, this is an amazing time because of, number one, Alex Jones being exposed as Mossad, and all these disinformation agents are somehow being paid off by this disinformation, the Lenin technique of if you want to control the opposition, you run it yourself, right? So then we can go to each one of these posts, and again, this witch hunt one that we saw here was all of Hillary's posts, right? And then it reposted more of them. So let's see what some people are commenting here. It says, Hillary, you lost, and you're about to find out something about Gitmo, right? Hillary loves to talk about the rights of women, but what about the rights of the child you are aborting? Don't they have a right to exist and a right to determine their own fate? It seems Hillary is saying no. And see, and this is a basic thing. If you do believe in the Bible clearly says in Jeremiah that we are knit together in our wombs by the Lord, right? And he knew our plans before we were even born. So we have a soul, and he has a plan for us, and he knit us together in our womb. So that's why I was a Democrat back in 20 plus years ago, right? Grew up in college and all that stuff brought me up that way. And when I became a Christian later at 29 years old, one Good Friday, gave my life to the Lord, right? And I started looking at what Jeremiah was saying and all these different types, and it was clear God tells us when does life start? Life starts in the womb, right? And I believe it's at conception. So that way, that baby that embryo should have rights, should have the rights that are protected. We're supposed to protect the innocent, right? Just like we're not protecting the innocent right now with just children in this human trafficking, we also need to be protecting the embryo, in my opinion. No, that's a controversial topic, but that's what the Bible says. That's what God's view is. And that's the one I'm going to stick with. So I had to override my personal belief when I started reading the true Word of God and started getting that in my spirit and God's Word in my heart, right? So now here is this one, 2088. We read through that. So some people are talking about it. They say, MOS backed Mossad, question mark. This person says, yep, the Mossad downvoted you. It's talking about that. That's all right. I get downvoted everywhere I go, right? So and then I always like to go to all the way, looking at this line right here, go all the way to the next one that goes all the way in. That would say the second most popular. And you can see how this got upvoted 11 points, right? I think it is Mossad also. Kind of the topic about Israel intelligence. Funny thing happened when I was playing around with gematria with HRC equals Alice and Q equals Alice. And so this is, I came up with 8200, Q17 plus HRC 8133. I Googled the number, and the first thing that came up was Unit 8200 is the Israel Intelligence Corp unit responsible for collecting signal intelligence, SIGINT, and code decryption. So anyway, just interesting things that you can get here, and you can spend hours going in and digging in and get a lot more detail than I can go over you in the hour show that I do here. I recommend this book to all mammals. This is a Scott Adams. Not sure why that came up. I think there was something else that was before that. This is 2089. 2089. Let me refresh this to make sure that these things don't get too slow on me. There we are. So now this is the one that's 2089. He says this is not a game. And the comments down here says for those, and I like to go to the first comment because it's got 187 upvotes, right? So you know that this is, a lot of people were going, wow, I agree with that. So just reading these two most, the top two is what I usually try to do for you. For those a bit lost, during Trump's first trip to Asia, Q posted pics from the window of a plane that corresponded with Trump's flight plans, and I believe had North Korea pictured below. No one can be sure what Q is, but you can be darn sure, they say damn sure, he isn't some creation of random Twitter trolls with wanna spill to Jack Prozabek, or however he spells it or pronounces it for that much. I think the S was like a Z, so it's Prozabek or something like that. But I'm mispronouncing the end of it. I know I am. So correct me on my deal. I'm trying to improve that, as you know. So correct me on Jack's pronunciation of his last name. I'll go listen to it next time. I love it when I refresh my browser and a new Q post appears. Boom. IKR, I think my spouse is getting jealous. Mine only gets jealous when I see Q post first. So anyway, just some good discussion on 2089, 2090. Let me get over here and get that going for us. So here we are with the New York Times Jerome Corsi subpoena list. He will answer every question with buy my book and to find out. On my sides, that's funny. And here's something that says, that's in the F. I mean, holy S. Is this really? Makes you wonder. I know I do from time to time. Feel like we are in the twilight zone half the time anymore, right? So that's talking about the whole Jerome Corsi actually being subpoenaed. But when I read through this, it was really more about Roger Stone and what did Roger Stone know, as they're trying to pin some things on there. Do you believe in coincidences? And this is where Trump is going to declassify those 20 pages, right? That's the big story that's coming out. And we knew that because of the D-class, right? We saw that yesterday. That was the decoded message of D-class. D5, D-class 5 eyes. Now that's interesting. Here comes 20. Then Red October begins, right? That's why Trump is telling us September is what? It's National Preparedness Month. So you make sure you have flashlights. Make sure you, in case of power outage, make sure you have water and food. And I would recommend packing. Second Amendment rights. Right, I have video cameras. So by the way, guys, I know a lot of you are praying for me. I appreciate for my safety, etc. But I do have video cameras. Have Second Amendment supporter and being careful, right? And if I go back into the second comment here to see if anybody else has any insight on this, and that's how it begins. As one document gets unclassified and released, it pulls others with it. D5 avalanche. Yeah, so there we're talking about that. These 20 pages being the avalanche. It's the tip of the iceberg. It really is when you start looking at this. 2092, we talked about this being the Trump classified documents of Russia, right? So basically they're saying, please declassify. The House is asking them that. And then all of a sudden you see Sarah Carter saying, yep, Trump's going to do it. Hopefully tomorrow. And this is just talking about the number of down votes everything's being hit with. Funny, I sent Sarah Carter a message today with FISA 20, and she wrote back, hopefully soon. Then 3 hours later, her article is out. What a Q incident. We basically know what she is going to write about a few days before she releases the article. Future proves past, which, watch the news. I don't know how to post a screenshot, so I created a link to my conversation, my conversation screenshot. So by the way, I don't have much time. As you guys know, I work massive hours. So what I do though is I try to watch just part of the 5 because I like Juan giving me the talking points of the deep state. He gives every time, right? He gives the talking points of the deep state. And then I watch a little bit of Hannity. Why do you watch Hannity? Because he's got Sarah Carter on there dropping bombshells, or John Hill, right? John Solomon from the Hill dropping bombshells. So that's how I keep track of what the mainstream media is teaching, at least from the conservative standpoint. They're still talking bad about Sessions, talking about there needs to be a second council, all the stuff we know that's not needed, right? Now here's 2093, and they dig into some. Hillary is going to have a massive stroke in the next few months. You watch. And so just some other discussion. I always go down to the next line. I'm looking at the very first line, right? So there's tons of discussions based upon all that, but here's the one all the way to the left. So that's the second one most upvoted. See how far I had to go down for that? This was an awesome line of questioning. I love how Q links back to the Trump EO. Think about how long this has been in the works. We're going to need way more popcorn. Maybe Mattis said, dude, after the Huma hug, you need to redeem yourself before you wind up on the other side of the fence at Gitmo. So that's 2093. So we're almost done with this, and we'll get to some awesome Q news too. Drilling down on established law, and this is Lindsey Graham doing this, right? Drilling down on established law concerning what happens to the enemy combatants who collude with the enemies of the state. Hooah! And it says, President Trump specified during his first State of the Union speech how enemy combatants are those who fund, aid, and assist our foreign enemies. Today, during Judge Kavanaugh's hearing, Lindsey Graham doubled down to make it clear to all deep state actors and those who have helped foreign terrorists that they will be tried via military court, not criminal court. His intent could not have been more clear, right? And so I think I have that YouTube video coming up here in a second. If not, we'll go back and play it real quick. But it's a great one to go look at. During Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing, Senator Lindsey Graham just made it a point to let everyone know that if they aid and abet the enemy, they may be tried by the military and not civilian courts. Judge Kavanaugh agreed with him. I just watched this on live stream and have a link to it because it happened right before the committee adjourned for lunch. Anyone with a link, it would be much appreciated. And so I'm not sure if that's so Q actually did that, right? So Q actually gave us a link and said at 26 minutes. So if you go right here, and I'm just going to play that 2 minutes for you. I'm going to come back to it here. And what number was it? Well, I tell you, I'll show you a trick of it. You go Control F and you go 26. Okay, and that's how you can find things. There you go. Oops, I just had it there and it came and it kind of highlighted. So there's 26 minutes, right? So it's 2093. Again, this is the video, and this was fascinating because to just think that they would actually talk about this on national television. And this is 2540, so.
When the buildings fell.
So when somebody says post 9/11 that we've been at war, and it's called the war on terrorism, do you generally agree with that concept?
I do, Senator, because Congress passed the authorization for use of military force, which is still in effect, and that was passed, of course, on September 14th, 2001, 3 days later.
Let's talk about the law in war. Is there a body of law called the law of armed conflict?
There is such a body, Senator.
Is there a body of law that's called basic criminal law?
Yes, Senator.
Are there differences between those two bodies of law?
Yes, Senator.
From an American citizen's point of view, do your constitutional rights follow you? If you're in Paris, does the Fourth Amendment protect you as an American from your own government?
From your own government, yes.
Okay. So, if you're in Afghanistan, do your constitutional rights protect you against your own government?
If you're an American in Afghanistan, you have constitutional rights as against the U.S. government.
Is there a long-standing...
That's long-settled law.
Isn't there also a long-settled law that it goes back to the Eisentrager case? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Johnson versus Eisentrager.
Right.
He's an encyclopedia.
That American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be. They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right. There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government and collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently.
Okay, that is huge if you just think about that. And so the people are arguing with us about, no, there's not going to be military tribunals. Yes, there is. Number one, there, if you're a believer in Mark Taylor or anybody like that, you'll know that he's been predicting that for quite some time. And then you also just saw it right there, and it's in the EOs. So, and it's funded by the omnibus. So this is going to happen. It's going to happen. And so people that were treasonous are in trouble, right? Here's another article by 2015. Employment of Nellie Orr by Fusion GPS raises new questions. So Nellie Orr, the clown, we know she's a clown, Russian expert, has been working with Fusion GPS since 2015. So those are kind of some new things coming out as well. Here's the FBI's outside contractors, DNC servers, and CrowdStrike. So a lot of great article. I'll have it in the link below where you can dig into all these new links that are coming in. Dan Bongino, I think, is the one who gave me that link. And then here's the thing about, does Mueller have an October surprise? So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be all part of the plan myself. But the deep state's going to push it, and they're going to get exactly what Trump wants, is what I believe. Holy yes, Graham asking Kavanaugh about military law versus criminal law. So there's that just blew up Reddit when they started talking about that. Texas doctors at Kavanaugh hearing say they saw liberal protesters paid with literal bags of cash. So you'll see here that these guys saw these people that were making the big mess and being pulled out of there. They were actually getting big bags of cash, and there's actually some pictures here of them. Some of them actually. Here's one that was pulled out, and here's the cash, the bags of cash. You can see she's got cash right there, and so they were paid. These protesters were most likely Soros paid, funded people that were throwing the fits in the Kavanaugh hearing. So that's all they have left is screaming and yelling and trying to create discourse. Hey, Deep State, downvote this. Connecting Obama's relationship with 10-year-old Maggie Nixon. Remember Wendy back from earlier eras? To Comet Ping Pong Pizza, the Clintons, and the wider Pizzagate theory. So I'm not going to drain this because it's quite long. But you can, I just wanted to point this out for those of you who are interested in those topics. I'll put the link in and you can go dig into that topic in more detail. But there's links being made everywhere. Even James Alefantis right here with the Rothschilds. What is James Alefantis, Comet Ping Pong Pizza, doing in a photo shoot of the family Rothschild? So I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but there's some people saying it's rumored he is a Rothschild, which is real interesting. So researchers of the Anons go on and find all kinds of interesting things. And remember, this is kind of a play on the picture of what we talked about yesterday with Nike's stupid mistake. Here's Trump saying, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And it says, just declassify it. Just declassify it. We talked about yesterday about this, just blew it. Right? You just blew it, and now this is even a better one, I thought. Just declassify it with Trump. Right? Here's some other funny memes and stuff that I found that are in various areas. And this is Sessions looking hold on, I can't quite see you. And then you can, yep, you're indicted. So he's got all these people indicted under sealed indictments, right? And he knows it. 8chan, the 42K documents that are within Kennedy's past are those which implicate Bush in 9/11. They are asking for their own death. Q, D-class. So they obviously have so much on Kavanaugh, all these documents, right? But there's like 42,000 that was going across his desk when he was in the Bush administration. And there's a lot of it's declassified. A lot of it's because of the 9/11 stuff or 9/11 stuff. So it's quite funny to say, why don't you go ahead and declassify it if they really want it? You may get what you don't want there, guys, the deep state. And so now look at this. This is Mark Parker, the CEO of Nike, and there's a lot more gross pictures than this. But look at this: a rabbit cut in half with blood, and this girl acting like it's not bugging her. Here's blood going on a baby. Here's a girl in a dress with her head off and blood squirting out of it. This is the Nike president. From favorite artist of Nike CEO Mark Parker. So bizarre stuff. And it says, oh my gosh, does it ever end with these people? They are everywhere, in everything in our society. They are sick. Yeah, so it's like just amazing what we're turning up here. It's just sickening is what it is. Here's Sarah's article, Sarah's A. Carter's article, basically talking about latest polling suggests Democrats set to take back the House in the midterms. I wanted to just warn you guys of this. So she obviously posted about the good news about the 20 pages being declassified. But I'm sure I don't trust these polls, and I don't think it's going to happen because I think the Lord's in control. But you know what? We cannot sit back. You've got to bring a friend to register, right? Get your family registered and get everybody out to vote on November 6th. This is a spiritual battle. We also need to be praying for this, that the voting machines that they've cleaned up the voting machine fraud. They've cleaned up a lot of these illegal voting fraud, right? This is a huge election because the deep state need to take Trump out, and their primary mechanism is to take back the House and to impeach him, and then try to get enough votes in the Senate to actually get him rid of him of office, which would take 60 people. So I think that's almost impossible for him to do. I think this is going to be a huge red wave, and this is but not if we don't get out, not if we don't take action. So I'm asking you guys to please take action to make this happen. A couple other things. Neon Revolt has a huge part 2 article on this whole thing about Skull and Bones and secret societies and all kinds of things. This is part 2. So well worth the read. I've only scanned it, but it's very long and it's very, very deep and good from what I've heard and the scanning that I did there. So I'll put a link into that. Recommend you look at that. There's the treason. He says, and just a fact, and here's a video that I couldn't find, but it's later. This is exactly at the 26-minute mark. So when you link to that, make sure you look at the 26-minute mark. So that's the news. So now we're going to get into prophecy and some prayer. Also connect with me on Blessed to Teach. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this. I'll refresh it. I did a survey. Some of you probably saw where I just let everybody know what these 3 other sites are. So go to your YouTube feed, and if you've subscribed to me, you should see these 3 links to other sites in case QAnon.map goes down again, right? And I asked a question here on a survey. What do you think caused the clowns to attack QAnon.pub today, right? And it says, see, 57% of you said, 503 people voted, 57% both we're supposed to say both of the above, which is the FISA 20 pages about to be declassified, 38%. The fact that Q called out Alex Jones as a Mossad was 3%. Both of the above, 57%. Neither, or probably was not the CIA, 2%. So 98% of you thought the CIA actually attacked QAnon. And there's a bunch of people commenting, but I won't show that for privacy reasons. But here's another one I asked about. Did you see Nike use Colin Kaepernick, defend Castro, kneels for the flag, wears socks, showing cops as pigs to protest brutality by police against black people? As the spokesman of this year's Just Do It campaign, what's your thoughts? And I said, and Colin Kaepernick is a hero, and Nike is bold. I'll buy more Nike. So 1% of you, now this is 2,300, a pretty good sample. 1% of at least the conservatives in this movement are gonna vote for, are gonna go buy more Nike. 97% are gonna buy no more Nike. What kind of a business is this? This is obviously a deep state deal with that freako president, right? No big deal. I will still buy Nike as usual, 2%. So 97% of us are going to buy no more Nike. I'm with you on that one. So join me on Blessed to Teach in the Facebook and Twitter. We'll get to a prophecy and some prayer here in a second and some discussion. And then on Twitter's at Blessed to Teach. Just make sure you go tweet right here. And then you actually write whatever you want to with your hashtags. Remember, hashtags can't have spaces in them. I know I got a lot of new people that are actually doing this. And then you actually have to put in here at Blessed to Teach so I can see it. So you'd put this right here, at Blessed to Teach, in the tweet, and I can see it. Now, want to get everybody off of Square. Square, look at this. This is Square right here. They are, oh my goodness, it's not going to let me open that up. It's being frustrating, so let me see if I can go back. There it is. Square, look at this. Who was it founded by? In 2009, by Jack Dorsey. Do you know who Jack Dorsey is? They are Twitter, right? So Twitter, Jack Dorsey, the founder, started Square. It's become a $850 million company annually. They're ripping people off at sometimes 4% they charge you or more. And they are, and again, they're a globalist company. So my wife has a company that can beat it. So if you are spending, or you know anybody that's spending a daily amount and a monthly amount over $1,500, which is pretty small if you think about it. That's 30 days divided by that, small number per day. $1,500 a month or more. This will be much cheaper on a Novia, and it was really. And this is this Transact 2007. The industry itself voted these guys last year the payment processor of the year. A Novia Payments. My wife. You just go fill out the little form. ACN is a reseller. Novia is owned by these guys. So my wife can get you on this and save a lot of money. Square no more, right? We'll also give anybody that refers somebody $200 in a gift card. Or if you yourself use it, we'll give you $200 in a gift card. Because it's worth us to get our business rolling. But more importantly, get people off of Square, please. Right? And so Square is again a globalist country, and way too many people use it not knowing that. That's why I just wanted to make sure. Let's go into a prophecy real quick. Here is an amazing one talking about the Clintons, right? And just to see that this was written back in October of 2015 and how it looks like this is all going to happen. And this is what they're saying is going to happen to the Clintons. So it says, don't be deceived. Get in the fight. It's telling us to get in the fight. And again, you can find this from Mark Taylor. He's a retired fireman who's been, I think is being used by the Lord to give the Lord his messages of what's going to be happening here. You can find it on swordrescue.com, SORD. So there's 3 paragraphs here. Let's read this prophecy by that the Lord gave Mark Taylor in October of 2015. The Spirit of God says, the Clintons, your time has come to an end, for you both are being omitted for the crimes you have committed. Hillary's is no great secret, and they will be her downfall. But Bill's will be exposed one after the other, and it will be a windfall. For this time you will not escape prosecution and restitution for the rape and prostitution. You thought no one saw, but the Lord sees it all. And now this will be your downfall. Wow. So Hillary's is no great secret. So the uranium one, the Benghazi, the emails, obviously that's going to be her downfall. And then he's basically saying bills will be all these rape and prostitution. And it's going to come one after the other. It's going to be completely exposed. The Lord saw it all. The second paragraph says, beware. The Spirit of God says, beware, beware. The enemy roams about seeking whom he can devour. And the sitting president is doing just that in this hour. This is 2015, talking about Obama. He's full of lies and deceit and is very hateful. He spreads division and corruption with every mouthful. Beware when he says, look over here, what the right hand is doing, to divert your attention from what the left hand is doing. In his intention. Is his intention. This is a setup from the president and his minions, from the hate, the division, and Hillary Clinton. Why can no one see this? For the signs are clear to see that this president and his minions shall try for 3. A sign will be he will try to take the gun so the people can't rise up and stop him when he tries to run. He will not succeed, for this is the people's right. But make no mistake, it will be a fight. And it was, right? He tried to take our guns through, I believe, the many staged instances, such as Sandy Hook, and even though some kids probably died there, as well as staged events with all these these staged incidences, right? If I say the FF word, suppose I get, boom, demonetized. The last paragraph, the Spirit of God says, my army, rise up and take to the fight, for I will stop this that has already taken flight. For this is a war over America, and not to be taken lightly. You will have to fight, but America will shine brightly. Take the fight to the enemy, and you will be victorious for all to see. And America will be loved once again, even by some that used to be her enemies. My army, continue to war, pray and fight with a shout, and I will remove this president that has become a louse. Then you will see the man I have chosen, Donald Trump, when he takes back my White House. So there's a fulfilled prophecy right there. This was written in 2015. Right? I think before he actually got the nomination. Right? So if you look at this right here, this was October 2015. So yeah, and so this is amazing things that fulfilled prophecy right there. Looks like this is going to be fulfilled with the Clintons. So that means, heck, it looks like everything's coming down with them trying for the third term with Hillary in there. And that didn't happen. So a lot of amazing things happening with Mark Taylor. So let me pray a little bit about this. Boy, Heavenly Father, it's just amazing to see the timing of what Q's pulling together here. And I just believe that's with your hand. I just don't think there's any way possible that Donald J. Trump could have been elected with all the headwinds he had, with Hollywood against him, and Silicon Valley against him, and Wall Street against him, and the elites against him, and every part of the government against him, and massive amounts of money against him, and the political climate, and the George Soros, massive funding against him. Wow, you brought a miracle. You did a miracle by bringing Donald J. Trump to be in our White House. And now you're doing a miracle with what you're revealing to us through Cueanon, with this plan to not only take down just some, but literally just root up these tentacles of century-old corruption out of all parts of our society. And Lord, we just thank you for these 51,700 plus sealed indictments that I know, Lord, that you have saved many of these for special purposes to just do just that, to rip out all this corruption everywhere and plant back in its place righteousness. Looking so forward to that, Lord. And we just pray for everybody that's listening to my voice right now that you'll ask yourself and ask God, how do you want to use me, Lord? How can I follow you in this movement? I know this movement's happening. You're healing this land. You're going to heal patriots around the world, and your great harvest is going to happen. Let me be involved in taking this country back. Let me be involved in the patriots taking their countries back worldwide. So how is God going to use you? Is he going to use you in Hollywood? Is he going to use you in Silicon Valley? Is he going to use you in Wall Street or in business? Is he going to use you in a ministry? Is he going to use you as in the House or Senate? Maybe federal, local, or state? Is he going to use you in law enforcement? How does God want to use you as we rip out the unrighteous? They get the sin gets revealed, and God wants to use you. How is he going to use you? What an exciting time to be alive. Allow God's Spirit to flow through you and make this a wonderful time as we see the Second American Revolution and this great movement of the Great Awakening happening worldwide. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, fun stuff to be looking at this. We've finished right at an hour, so we're good timing on this one. Spirit Guide, I see Brenda and Ronald and Kay and New every morning, and Fun and Undisclosed and Swampy Me and Rodney and Victor and Adeline. Thank you for your service, Adeline, and also Another Phase. And Tina and Linda and Greg and Dana and Paul and Undisclosed and Dana and Oscar and Joe and Canadian something. Kay and Michelle and Brenda and Cody and Tina and Light and Lou. Thank you for your service. And Christ Believer and Ronald and John and Vanessa and Larry. Thank you for your service. And Jay and Deborah and Dave and Miss. I'm trying to get to the bottom. I can't get to the bottom. It's too much. But thank you, Jason, for the God bless you. And thank you for your prayer, Linda. Appreciate that. Really, hey, from Amen and from Kentucky, says Michelle. God bless you, says Christ Believer. You guys have been a blessing to me, man. You guys have really been spreading the word about this show, because it's I don't know, we're getting close to 40,000 users. You guys are, so really appreciate you liking, share, and subscribing to this and getting the word out. I just think the more people we can red pill, the better. It's going to be a wonderful time to see the Great American Revolution, the Second American Revolution, and the Great Awakening happening here. Love you, Rick. Prayers and blessings. Thanks, Kay. You're so trustworthy and respectable, Rick. Thank you, says Spirit God. I do appreciate that. Hallelujah, says Janice. I got you. I hear you. Bless you. A lot of people, you guys are so encouraging. I just really do appreciate you. Love Mark Taylor. I hear you, Deb. It's an awesome thing to just see how things have come true or are coming true. And but let's pray. Let's get out there and vote, right? And get people registered and bring people to register, bring people to vote. We need to be really active here. Pray for this country, most importantly. Pray for, thank you, Linda. Forgotten Country, hear you, Lou. But hey, this is a beautiful time to be alive, and let's really make this exciting. Excellent drop. Work on my business owner friends. I'm not sure. I can't read that fast. But vote. You're exactly right. Let's get that red wave going. It's going to be exciting times. With that, I'm going to wrap this up and tell you what, guys. Mossad control. It's a sad day when you think about all this independent media being either bribed and or threatened into lying to us about QAnon. Now Q, for the first time, has linked Alex Jones to Mossad. And he's asking, what are they so scared of? Why are they scared of QAnon? Well, because eventually Israel's last, and the Mossad, the deep state part of Mossad, is going to be wiped out, as well as the Rothschilds, as well as all the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. They're all being exposed. It's becoming very clear, and this is a part of a meticulous plan that has been planned for years, including people like McCain coming out so that we can get the proper votes to get the proper non-corrupt Supreme Court judges in. That's why Kennedy's out of there. He was controlled, and I'm glad that people like Alex Jones are not on Infowars anymore. They're lying to us about a critical issue. So we need to wake up. We're responsible for letting people know about QAnon. So we know treason is going to be revealed here in the FISA documents. Exciting times. QAnon. This is QAnon Post review on September 5th. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time.